So it's 11 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Scott D'Amico. I'm a faculty development specialist, and one of my main roles is to help people and to give them guidance on the actual system itself, how to use it, how to upload documents, all of that good stuff. And so a lot of what we'll be doing, I'm just going to sort of go into the system to show you a lot of this. Because I think it's just easier if I just sort of walk you through how to get into the system and all that good stuff. Before I do that, though, I did want to, and I'll be going sort of back and forth between the system and a PowerPoint slide. Has everybody in here used Faculty 180 at some point before? Okay. It seems like most of you have. Very good. If you haven't, just very quickly, all Faculty 180 is, it's a big repository where you can upload all of your information about your teaching, about your service, about scholarship, about any administrative work you do. And essentially, it takes that portfolio and it passes it to people who can evaluate it on a scale that we'll go over here in a little bit. That's really all it does. It just houses files and it provides the ability for someone to evaluate it. So it's pretty straightforward when it comes to that. So I'm going to go share this. Just go share my whole screen. So just so you know, in terms of the participation plan, so if you've been here for 1 to 5 years, you'll be doing this on an annual basis. Most of you know that. After the 5th year, you go on a biannual cycle where you are reviewed every 2 years. This year's a little bit different and kind of wonky in the sense that the people who were supposed to be doing it last spring because of COVID have been pushed to doing it this fall. So if you are in that cycle, and I'm assuming most of you are, your faculty evaluation will be due by October 9th. That's the last day where you can have your stuff submitted through Faculty 180. October 30th will be when the peer evaluations will be due, and then November 30th are when the chair evaluations are due. I've been asked this question a couple of times, so I thought it would be good to just go ahead and talk about it now. People have asked, well, if I submit in the fall, do I have to submit again in the spring? So if you're in that 1 to 5 year window and you're on an annual evaluation cycle, then the way it's set up, you will have to as of now. So what you're submitting in the fall will be looking at 1920, and what you'd be submitting in the spring would be looking at 2021. It's kind of a weird deal just because of the way COVID worked out. So any questions on that, on the deadlines for the fall? Okay, let's see. Something that came up. What about new full-time faculty? I'm going to pronounce it. Is it Malaku?
Yes, me. I'm new. Do I have to do it now, or do I have to wait 1 year?
When were you hired? Were you hired for this fall?
Yes.
Yeah, you won't be expected to submit in the fall cycle, but you will be expected to submit in the spring cycle.
Okay, in the spring. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you won't have to worry about it this semester. Good. All right. So just so you're aware, I'm going to sort of walk you through how to get into Faculty 180. So sorry, you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff on my desktop. I apologize for that. So to get into Faculty 180, it's pretty simple. Can you see the ACES home screen? No, okay. You may just be seeing the PowerPoint. Sorry. Let me go ahead and fix that real quick. So to get into Faculty 180, you're going to go through ACES, and then you'll go into the Faculty tab, and then you'll scroll all the way down, and you'll see the Faculty 180 portfolio box. One of the things you'll notice down at the very bottom is that there are training guides. So after we're done with this, if you want to look at the recording to sort of figure out what to do, you can do that. And if you don't want to use that, that's okay. You can go down here and look at these faculty evaluation process guides. And it's going to go step by step through everything that we're going to talk about today. And it also has the same for peers and chairs. Some of you will be doing peer evaluations, and I'll do a separate session for that the closer we get to the peer evaluation submission window. And it'll be like what you saw before. There'll be an email that will be sent out just alerting you to the fact that there'll be a peer evaluation training. That's pretty straightforward. To enter Faculty 180, you just click Enter Faculty 180. Takes a little bit. A quick note, so Faculty 180 is going to work best if you're using something like Google Chrome or Firefox. I would not use Internet Explorer. It's not going to work very well for you as it pertains to Faculty 180. So Chrome, Firefox are going to give you the best results. If you've been in Faculty 180 before, one of the things that you'll notice is that this dashboard looks a little bit different. It seems like every year this dashboard gets a new look and feel, but it's not going to substantially change anything that you've done in Faculty 180 previously in terms of uploading your activities and all that good stuff. Most of you, when you go into this dashboard, you should see an action item, and that action item should be submit your portfolio by October 9th. I don't do these submissions, so I don't have one on tap for me. But all of you, if you're submitting in the fall window, you should have that. Another quick thing just that you should know about Faculty 180 is that your browser has the back and forward buttons and all that good stuff. But in Faculty 180, it's best just to use the navigations that you see over here on the left side. That way you're not in danger of losing any data that you've submitted. So browse inside of Faculty 180. Try not to use the back and forward buttons that are on the browser itself. So one of the things that you can do, if you want to do this, you can. It's not going to really have a huge impact on your on the way scoring takes place in fact, or won't have any impact on the way scoring takes place in Faculty 180. But you do have the ability to go in here and update your personal information and your contact information, and your current position, and all that good stuff if you want. It could be helpful because I know that in terms of the promotion process, even at places like SAC, one of the things they ask is for a link to a Faculty 180 portfolio to be sent during the promotion process. So, I mean, you can go in here and add all these things. It essentially will sort of work kind of like a CV would, but it's not required. Again, it's not going to impact your score at all. But if you want to, you can go in here and add details about what it is that you're doing and all that good stuff. And you'll see if I wanted to add my degree in here, I can do that, but I'm not going to. The bulk of everything that you're going to do is going to take place in the activities section. That's what I just clicked on. And one of the things that you'll notice is that you have a whole host of areas that you'll be asked to enter information for. So for instance, if I were to look at teaching and instructional design, it'll give you a brief description of what that looks like. And then, it gives you the description here. And then you'll see here that I added some evidentiary documents just as a sample. I'm going to delete some of those just so I can show you what it's like to add documents here. So if I click add, one of the things that you'll notice in this window here is you have A, which is the input form. So one of the things that you should know about Faculty 180 is it's going to pull all the information that is inclusive of the time that you're being evaluated. So for those in the fall, right? You're being evaluated on from fall 2019 through spring 2020. So you want to make sure that your start semester aligns somewhere within that time frame, right? You want it to start sometime, in fall of 2019 or spring 2020 for it to be pulled. So let's just say I have something, and I'll just say that it started in fall 2019. You have the ability to say when it ended. So you can see fall, spring, summer, or you can use this function called ongoing. And a lot of people use this specifically if they're doing something like they're on a committee that is going to last into perpetuity and they don't foresee any changes to it, or they may have, they may have something that will last forever. And if you place ongoing in there, Faculty 180 will pull that information too. So even if, for instance, this was fall 2017 and it was outside of the window at which I'm being evaluated, because the in-semester is ongoing, it knows to go ahead and pull that too. That makes sense. So a lot of people will use this ongoing feature quite a bit. And so I'm going to just say that whatever I did started in fall of 2019. And let's say it's a course syllabus. I'll say course syllabus here. Then I'm going to wait to do the description because I want to first show you activity classifications, just so you know what that is. So in Faculty 180, you're scored based upon how many R items and how many O items you meet. So R stands for required, O stands for optional. And I'm going to pull up the scoring breakdown for you real quick, just so you can see this, in case you haven't looked at it. Share. Let's see. There we go. So the way you're scored in Faculty 180 is based on a rating scale that looks at how many of the required items you met and how many optional items you met. There are 4 scores that you can get. You can get an exemplary score, which means that you met all the requirements plus at least 2 optional activities. Proficient means that you meet all the requirements. If you get an I, it means that you didn't meet one of them. And if you have a U, it means that you have 2 or more requirements that you didn't meet. So it's really important as you're going through here to always make sure that you at least have all of the R's checked if you want to be at least proficient, and at least 2 optional activities for you to meet the exemplary category. And I'm going to go back to the other to the actual Faculty 180 screen so you can see it sort of over here. And so if I had my course syllabus and I had updated it here, what R's do you think I could click based upon my course syllabus?
You should be able to do the first one.
Sure.
The second one, because that should be included in your syllabus and your syllabi with the course outline. To use current content lesson plan, that'll be found in your use active learning strategy. I would say those 2.
Those 2, sure. And some people have very detailed syllabi, right? So in it, they may specifically sort of show what the learning materials are week to week. If they're only using the textbook, it'll have the textbook, but some people will put links to outside readings that they want their students to read in the course syllabus. So if you do that, you could have that checked. You could also Some will talk about the methods in which they're teaching and the activities that they're doing. So if that's explicitly spelled out in your syllabus, you could definitely check this one. I mean, depending upon what's in your syllabus, you could probably have quite a few of these items checked. But let's say I just did the first two, right? And then let's say I had integrates the use of technology to support learning. Let's say I talk about the fact that I'm using discussion boards in the syllabus. And then let's say those three. One of the things that is beneficial to the person who's actually doing your peer evaluation in your chair is in the description being detailed and showing exactly sort of like what's going on. So like I would just say course syllabus, course syllabus dates, SLOs, example of an appropriate course outline, et cetera. So I would suggest using this description box to provide justification as to why what you're adding meets what you're checking, if that makes sense. It'll just make it easier for your score than having to go back and sort of like look at a document and then, try to make these determinations without seeing justification ahead of time. Like a course syllabus is pretty straightforward though. So if you have a course syllabus in here, an evaluator should be able to go, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's obviously a syllabus with a course outline. So, but in some areas, it'll probably be, more beneficial for you to add more detail. And some people have asked, well, what if I'm unsure about whether or not something that I have will meet, will be sufficient for one of these requirements or one of these optionals. And what everybody should know is that there's nothing that sort of mandates everything that is acceptable evidence for meeting these required and optional categories. That's a determination that's made by the peers who are evaluating you and the chairs. So if you're sort of on the fence, I would always err in contacting your chair to ask them if they think what you're providing as evidence is sufficient. But if you haven't heard back from your chair, I would just go ahead and check the box and make your argument in the description and put the onus on your peer evaluator and your chair to make that determination. Because it's sort of like a multiple choice test, right? You won't get penalized for checking an extra optional that an evaluator doesn't think, meets the evidence standard. So first check with your chair, see what they say about it. But if for some reason you can't get in contact with your chair and you're sort of like, you're sitting there like 11:50 on October 9th, wondering whether or not you should check the box, I just go ahead and check the box. You're not going to get penalized for it. So if I wanted to upload a file, it's pretty easy. It's here and see attachments. And this is not a syllabus, but I'm just going to go ahead and upload something. I don't know. I'll upload that. You can upload PDFs, docs, JPEGs. You can even upload media files to it. So if you wanted to show like a clip, you could do that. You could upload audio files. You can sort of upload most any kind of standard file that you want. But upload, and then I click save. And if I have click the save and add another because I don't have all these boxes checked. And then I would sort of go through and I would look at the boxes that I would go back to the boxes that I haven't checked yet, check those boxes and try to find more files that provide evidence that I met those boxes. Did someone have a question that I heard? Okay, good. So if you want to go back to where you were at before, you can go to activities and it will pull you back. And you'll notice here when I go to activities, it'll have that document right there, and it'll show that I've added it. And then I can go and I can look at some of the other categories. You'll notice in some of these categories that there's not a lot of required items. In the teaching portion of it, you're going to have a lot more required items than you will have in the scholarly and service part of it. But like in instructional delivery, you'll notice that there are only 3 R's, and then there are only 3 O's. So just depending upon the category, you may have, more required items or less. Sorry if you hear the lawn mowing going on. Someone's here mowing the lawn. So, but if I were to go back to activities, I'm just going to go through some of these so you can see what they look like. Instructional assessment, it's pretty. Again, it just varies on how many you see here. And in terms of evidence, you can get sort of as creative as you want. You can pull in things from your courses. You can take screenshots. That's always helpful. If you have emails that document things that you've been doing, you can add those emails. Really, let's see. Karen asked, will you address how we copy, edit, or roll over? Yes, I'll address that. Karen, give me just a second, and I'll go over that. Scholarly, you'll notice over here. Just give you a couple of hints on this one. So for this, one of the things that I would suggest is I would just pull your Alamo Talent transcript for this category, because you can mark off a whole bunch of stuff from here. You can mark off that, mark off, let's see, you can mark off this, all that good stuff. So your Alamo Talent transcript's a pretty good vehicle for meeting some of the requirements in the professional development section. And if you don't know how to pull your Alamo Talent transcript, I can show you that as well. Do most people know how to do that? Could you give me a thumbs up if you know how to pull your Alamo Talent transcript? Okay, one person can. I'll show you how to do that too real quick. Oh, no, you're fine. So to pull that transcript, it's fairly easy. I say that because I do it every day. So if you're not in Alamo Talent every day, it's probably a little bit. So log in. You just go into the Employee tab at Alamo Talent. Go to Alamo Talent. Take a second to load. And then it is in My Learning. So we go to My Learning. Click on View Your Transcript, and then I just go to Completed, and it'll pull for everything that you've done. You can actually go here to these 3 little dots and go Export to PDF if you want. Second, but then it'll export all of that to a PDF that you can upload directly into Faculty 180. Oh, there it comes. My transcript's probably got 1,000 things on it. Yeah, but I could just pull that right into Faculty 180. And that would suffice for a lot of that. So go into...
Excuse me, how did you say we can pull it into 180? Because I know how to pull it into a PDF like you just mentioned, but where would it allow me to pull it into 180?
So it would. So if you're in the professional development category, what you would do is you would just go here to upload, and then I don't think I saved mine to the desktop. I think it was in downloads. Don't know what it was titled. Transcript maybe. But I could just I would just put that PDF and save it there, just like I would any other document in Faculty 180. But it would be relevant for the professional development section that you're asked to upload evidence for.
Oh, I thought there was a.
Does that make sense?
I thought there was a connection already between our transcript and 180, but they're not.
No, they're not directly linked. You can't. Those programs don't talk to each other.
I got it. Thank you.
You bet. Very good. So let's see. And some of this, like for instance, this one, right? This is all optional, and this is the discovery and creation element. And you'll notice that you don't have anything that's required here. So as you're going through this, you'll notice that you'll see that there's no required items. So essentially, right, you could be proficient without checking any of the boxes, right? But you can't be exemplary unless you have at least 2 checked. And one of the things I would, again, sort of suggest to you is that as you're going through here, you'll probably realize, hey, I've done a lot of this stuff, right? So I would check as many boxes as you feel is applicable to what you're doing. It's always better to overcheck than undercheck boxes in the system. And then one of the things that you'll notice down here too, so there's also the service category. So there's service to the institution, and it'll give you descriptions for that, service to the profession, service to the general community. And again, what is acceptable for that is really up to the person who's evaluating you. So that. And you'll notice that there's an optional administrative category here. So some faculty members are in, they may be program leads and do scheduling, or, they may have, I don't know, they may have a release time to do specific things. So you'll see that it's optional because most faculty members, they're not going to fall into the administrative category, so they won't have to put anything here. But if you are in that administrative category, then you'll need to add things there. And you're probably wondering, well, how do I know if I'm someone who's in that administrative category? So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to show you something from the slide deck that I have. Because, let's see, because it has the role sets. Go ahead. Just a second, I'll pull it up for you. Oh, here we go. So if you see below, this is the role set chart. You'll see that there is set A, set B, set C, set D, and set E. And essentially what happens is that your score can be more weighted or less weighted towards teaching depending upon, whatever you do at your college. If you are, most people, the vast majority of people are going to be in set A, right? Where the bulk of their Faculty 180 score is going to be weighted towards teaching. And then 10% to Scholar Creative and 10% to service. But if you're unsure as to whether or not you'll be in set A because you do some sort of administrative task or you are involved in a lot of service, check with your chair, because your chair, as they're evaluating as they're going through and doing their evaluations on you, they're the ones that will actually go in and set what your role is to tell Faculty 180 how to weight your scores. So The vast majority of people who submit Faculty 180, again, will be in that set A. But if you're unsure about whether you'd be in that role set because of other work that you do, I would just send an email to your chair and say, hey, I just want to make sure I am in set A and that I don't need to put anything in the administration category of Faculty 180. Right. So the last thing is submitting, and I'll just show you from here, from the PowerPoint. So once you're done with everything, submitting Faculty 180 is kind of like launching a nuclear weapon. It's going to ask you if you want to do it a couple of different times. So once your evaluation, you can click on, I should show you that. Let me show you this view icon real quick before I go any further. Share screen. So, let me see if I can get to, hang on, let me show you because I'm not, because I don't have to be active right now. Yeah, it's not going to let me show you. But, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So once you're happy with everything, you can certify your portfolio because there's an evaluate button that you'll see. And then once you click on that button, it's going to ask you to read a certification statement. And that basically says, I certify that this is my portfolio and that I'm ready to send it off. So you'll click yes, that you've read the certification statement, and then you'll click save. And a lot of people think at that point that it's over and it's done and that they've submitted it. But in reality, even though intuitively you would think that's the case, it's not the case. It's just been saved. Once you do that, you still have to go in and you actually have to check the box that's going to be by your name. And you should see a box that says evaluation saved but not submitted. And if you notice, there'll be an eyeball over here. And the eyeball is really good because the eyeball will, if you click on it, it'll basically just pull up your entire Faculty 180 portfolio as your peer evaluator can see it. So it gives you a chance to go back and check everything that's in Faculty 180 so you can, just kind of make sure that it has everything that you want it to have. And then if you've done that, you can click Submit Selected Evaluations, and it's going to ask you like if you are double sure that you want this thing to be sent off. And then once you click Submit, then it's actually passed on to your peer evaluator. And at that point, you can do whatever it is that you want to celebrate because it's out of your hands at that point. One of the things that I think is always important to stress is that you just want to make sure that what you submitted is exactly how you want it to be submitted. Because if not, there's not a way to go back and retrieve it once it's been submitted. So once it's been submitted, it's gone, right? It's onto the peer evaluators. So just be sure that everything that you've done is exactly how you want it to be done and how you want it to look. So I will stop that. And then I'm going to go back to, oh yeah, Patricia, I can give you a copy of it. So I'm going to go back to Karen's question about rolling over information from previous years. So let me go back into Faculty 180. So Karen, as you've been doing Faculty 180, you may have information that's ongoing. So if you have things that were ongoing, you can just pull, those will automatically pull in. You don't have to change the dates on them. They just have to be They just have to be listed as an in-semester of ongoing, and it's going to automatically pull that information for you. You can also copy different things too. So you'll notice here there's a copy function. So you can clone some documents that you have. If essentially they're the same things, you can just clone what's already been checked. And let's say you just want to update the syllabus itself. Like, let's say I had a syllabus in here that was from fall of 2017 instead of fall of 2019, right? I would just go in here and change the dates. I could leave the description the same. I could leave the box checked the way they are. And then I could go in and just upload the new file that corresponds to the core syllabus. So I don't have to go through there and change all of my descriptions. I don't have to change the name of the actual document. I just need to readjust the start semester and then upload the new file. I think that's sort of the easiest way to roll over existing information using that ongoing feature, making sure that's clicked. But if I have to add something new that only has a difference of being from a different semester, then I can just clone and change the dates and add something else. Very good. Yeah, it just depends. Karen, it just depends upon what it is. So if it's a syllabus, I would just clone it and then upload the new syllabus. But if it's something like if you have some sort of certification that you have to list in the professionalism category that goes on into perpetuity, I would just change the in-semester to be ongoing. That way you don't have to mess with cloning it every time you're in Faculty 180. Very good. So are there any other questions about using Faculty 180 and submitting it?
I'm just curious, in
Yep.
terms of our 180, what the chairs have contributed in the past, for those of us who are doing an ongoing, how does that populate into our 180? Or does it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last. There was my internet connection broke up in the middle of your question.
Okay, and it could be me too. So I've been doing 180.
Mm-hmm.
Does what my chair or peer said the last time, is that going to come up at all?
No, so, I mean, you can go back and you can look at your evaluations to see what they said on past Faculty 180 submissions, but their comments and their scores don't roll over from evaluation cycle to evaluation cycle. So you're sort of starting from scratch in terms of a scoring standpoint. But if you want to go back and you want to look at the evaluations to see, what they said, and if they thought there were things missing or things that didn't meet the criteria, you can certainly do that to recalibrate what you're entering in for this evaluation cycle.
Thank you.
You bet. Great. Anything else?